Welcome to the Podium Live, giving you an inside look at some of the best football coaches and players around the world. Our goal at the Podium is to help athletes and coaches sign contracts with teams across the globe. If you're an athlete or coach and you're looking to play anywhere in the world, make a free account today at thepodium.com. Just go to the website, recruit.thepodium.com. I'm your host, Vincent Purvis, Texas boy residing in Finland, talking football to everybody in the world that I can. Today, we're actually going to be talking to O'Neal Blake, who has a lot of experience playing in Austria, which is one of the top leagues in Europe to play American football. The last 2 years, he's played for the Graz Giants, and this upcoming season, he decided to play for the Mödling Rangers, which is a city in Austria, if you don't know that, because it's a strange word, modeling. So without further ado, welcome to the show, O'Neal Blake. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, man? I appreciate you guys having me on, man. I'm doing well, man. I'm happy to chat with you today, man.
Yeah, man. Just want to get straight into football first, okay?
Okay.
You spent the last, and he left. God damn it. Oh,
No,
sorry about
no,
that.
go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. I had to grab my charger. I was
Ah,
doing.
you're all right. You
Yep.
just made me curse on live video. It's all right. Sorry about that, guys. But what I want to talk to you about, Anil, is 2017, the last season you just had. You played with the Graz Giants. How did things go for you guys last year? Kind of take us through like what the season was like playing there for the second time, and obviously you guys playing the entire season and how it went. Just tell us exactly how it went for you.
Well, to be honest with you, man, 2017 was kind of an up and down season for myself and for the team as a whole. We started out the year pretty well. And then the injury bug hit. I had got hurt, and then after I got hurt, I think I missed like 4 or 5 games consecutively. So I was out for like a month and a half, and it was a lot of frustration, to be honest with you, man. Being in a foreign country, being hurt, not knowing I was going to get back on the field, and throughout that period when I was gone, when I was not playing, I think the team they went about 500. I think they won 2 games and lost 2 games. They within that period, I think they played some of the more competitive teams in the league, like the Raiders, the Vikings. Those they played those teams. When I had came back, I had to kind of wiggle my way in to get back in form, man, and work towards like getting back to my abilities and playing at a high level. And unfortunately, I came back right towards the end of the season. So I played 1 game prior to us entering the postseason. We won the game, then went to the postseason, and then we lost a close ball game to the Dragons. And that's kind of how the season went for myself personally and for the Giants as a whole, which I guess you can say was a down year considering the year before the Giants made it to the Austrian Bowl. So we had high expectations, but it's kind of how football goes sometimes.
Yeah, I can understand that. Sometimes injuries happen, but that's a unique experience that you actually had an injury in a foreign country. I just want to talk a little bit about that. What was it like? Like, what did you do to kind of get back into it? Because I know from my experience, European football teams don't necessarily have, the extensive training staff and, masseuses on deck whenever you need to get something done. So what did you do to like, get yourself back ready so you can get back on the field?
Oh man, that's a good question. I remember when I had got hurt. I wasn't sure of the seriousness of the injury, so I went to the doctor and they kind of checked it out. I did an MRI and results came back negative because I had dislocated my shoulder and I thought I had torn my labrum. But I found out that actually the labrum was in place and it was not torn. So that was good news. From a psychological perspective, man, it's tough because
Yeah.
when I got hurt, I'm thinking, oh man, here I go. I'm gonna have to do surgery, which I've never done before. And I'm like, why now? Why in a foreign country? Why when I'm at like the peak of my career? I had expectations to do big things. But I think once I found out that I didn't have to do surgery, I think that kind of eased the pain a little bit. And then I kind of focused on the rehab process. To the Giants' credit, they had resources in place where I went to a facility where they provided me with adequate rehab, and I was going to rehab like 3-4 times out of the week, to a pretty decent rehab facility. The cool thing is I was seeing the same physio every day. So the person that I was working with, he knew the progress. He knew how I was progressing over time. He knew the severity of my injury. He knew my limitations, and he knew he had a time frame in mind in which I was scheduled to return. So, as he said, a lot of clubs overseas, they don't have those resources, but I was fortunate enough to where I was playing for the Giants, and they provided those resources for me to kind of went through the rehab process, man. So, as I said, it sucked, but at the same time, I got taken care of.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. It really does depend on what the team and situation is about that. So you were fortunate that the Graz Giants took care of you, man. So getting into a little bit about playing football overseas. I know you had 2 years in Graz, and next season you're going to Mödling, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, but you started a little bit of a movement out there worldwide.
Yeah, man.
But before we get that plug in there, let's talk a little bit about playing football internationally. Like, how did you get to this point? Tell us about. I want to know high school, college, NFL pro. Next thing you know, you're in Austria. Let us know, man. We want to know your story.
Oh man, it's been a journey. Actually, I started playing football. When I was about 14, 15. So I had a late start comparison to a lot of other guys that I grew up playing with. So I played at Osceola High School, which is located in Kissimmee, Florida. And it's a pretty prestigious high school here in the state of Florida. Just renowned for producing a lot of athletes, going to major programs across collegiate football, win a lot of state championships, and on a consistent basis going to the playoffs. After that, ended up going to play at Lenoir-Rhyne University up in North Carolina. Played at Lenoir-Rhyne, started 3 seasons there. While I was there, I was fortunate enough to be a part of a program that won 4 conference championships. My junior year playing Lenoir-Rhyne, went to the Division II national championship game. And even though we lost, it was a great experience, man. Those moments that like my teammates and I shared throughout the playoffs, man, it's pretty sacred, and those memories live with me on a daily basis. I have flashbacks of the journey we kind of endured. But while I was there in Lenoir-Rhyne, man, I received numerous accolades, all conference gigs, received a few All-American gigs. So I had aspirations of playing at the next level because I felt like I was somewhat dominant at the level I was playing at. So when I finished playing ball, man, I had a few pro days. I worked out for the Seahawks, worked out for the Panthers, worked out for the Browns. Just a few teams that had the opportunity to work out with. Didn't perform my best at the workouts, man. I know the Browns have followed up with me, but nothing too extensive. At the time, I had an agent, so he kind of took care of all that stuff, all the communication between the professional teams and myself. And after I worked out with those teams, I had went to a few CFL tryouts. And I remember I went to a CFL tryout for the Edmonton Eskimos and down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I went there. I did well, put up some good numbers, showcased my talents that day. And I received a phone call like 2 days after from the general manager invited me to their training day. So I had went down to their training day, was down there with them for like a week, just kind of going through their off-season workouts, going into their camp. I was down there, and I went through a few practices with the team, and I think it was like the day before the final practice. I was told that I was no longer a part of the team. Looking back at it, it was a disappointment on my behalf, but at the same time, it was a great experience. Just being around the game and playing it with a lot of guys that was playing the game at a high level, and just kind of gaining that experience was invaluable to me in my career. That kind of sparked a fire in me, man. After I was told I was no longer a part of the team, the team was moving forward, and I didn't have a roster spot. That was kind of hurtful, to say the least. But after that, I got back into coaching. I went back to school, started working on my MBA, and while I was working on my MBA, I also had the opportunity to coach at my alma mater. So I was a graduate assistant. Another guy I worked with on that staff was a guy named Jonathan Daly, and Jonathan Daly had played across Europe for about 4 or 5 years. And I think one of his last stops was in Austria. He played for the Dunderby Dragons. And he was asking me what I had going on, if I wanted to get back and play. I was like, yeah, man, if the opportunity present itself, I would be grateful, but it has to be the right situation. So he had, told me about a platform called Europlayers, creating an account. Within like 2 days, my inbox was flooded with teams from across Europe and South America as well. And I was just kind of going through and kind of weighing the options, and just kind of researching the teams and seeing what teams I felt like I had the best fit, and what team I'll be able to go in and have an immediate impact on right away. So that's kind of what that was kind of the leading up to what happened with me playing for the Graz Giants. I had a really good conversation with the head coach when he reached out to me. Had a good feeling about him. The neat thing about the Giants is the fact that not only did I speak to the coach in the recruiting process, like I spoke to the general manager, I spoke to a few players as well. So I felt like it was real, and everything they were telling me, was not a facade, and they actually were going to stick to their contractual obligations. So that's why I ended up going to play for the Giants. I played there. 2016 was my first year playing for the Giants. Had a great season. I think the year before I went in 2015, the club had went 1-9. So we just had a remarkable turnaround. For the following season, we went to the Austrian Bowl. And then last year I returned because I felt like we had the team to make another run. We were missing a few pieces. I felt like, with a few off-season acquisitions, I think we'll be able to we were going to be able to make another run at the Austrian Bowl, but unfortunately it didn't happen. So, and then this season, I felt like, I'm talking about the 2018 season, the upcoming season. I feel like, I played 2 years for the Giants. That organization, I have nothing but positive things to say about them, the players there, just everyone there in the Graz community in general. And I just felt like a change of scenery is needed. Just for me to just continue to evolve as a football player and as a guy that likes to travel and experience on the other side of the world. So that's just kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, that's awesome that you definitely enjoy traveling the world. And that kind of brings me to what we're going to talk about next is you spent 2 years in Graz, and I'm assuming that while you were there, you did see different places. So let's talk about a little bit about the culture and lifestyle of playing in Europe and being involved with these different people from a different side of the world while you're there.
Oh, man. It's a phenomenal experience, man. I think that's one advice I'll give to any American player that's seeking an opportunity or they're even contemplating going overseas to play. That experience, it's unique. And it's life changing because that experience changed my life because, when I went to Europe the first time and I was able to travel to different places and just kind of experience different cultures, meet different people, learn different languages, eat different food, the whole 9 yard, man. I never had the same perspective on things. I always look differently on things. I feel like
Do
the
you
Europe.
speak the language? Sorry.
I picked up the German language a little bit, man. But
Give me a
uh,
sentence. Give me a sentence or two. Let me hear some German, man.
come on, man.
Come on, hit me with a. We're here now. Come on, hit me with
Yeah,
a
okay,
line or
okay,
two.
okay. And you might say, oh man, but danke is how they say thank you. Uh,
Thank you.
Good morning is how they say good morning.
Good
Um,
morning.
Vienna Schnitzel is like that was kind of my favorite dish while I was living there. I loved it. Uh,
How do you say I'm American?
oh man,
In case something happened, I gotta have that ready.
nah, man. To be honest with you, like I haven't utilized the language since I've been back. So a lot of the phrases that I picked up on, they just kind of went.
You lose them if you don't use them, you lose them. That's exactly what happens.
Exactly. When I was there, I felt like the language was coming. I felt like I was learning, but I came back to the States, man, so back
Happens
speaking
yeah.
regular, man. So, yeah, but, yeah, man, the European experience is different. I feel like they live a more relaxed lifestyle there. They're not as stressed out about work and getting up in the
Getting
mornings.
yeah, getting money is not the number one goal in life.
Yeah, man, it's like those people are actually living, and that's kind of the biggest takeaway I had from living there and just kind of experiencing it. And another thing too, like here in the States, we have 50 states,
Yeah.
but like if you go from one state to another, it's not that big of a difference. It's like you may see a different license plate. I don't
It
know. That's
depends. I'm from Texas, man. I take that to heart. It ain't the same.
you know,
I'm from Texas.
yeah, yeah, but my point is, in Europe, you go from one country to the next. It's a totally different experience. People
Yeah, I
speak
can
a
see that.
different language. They're using different currencies. The people look different. Like physically, they look different. They have different history. You know what I'm saying?
It's a lot of history in a small space that's
Yeah,
very different, right
yeah,
next to each other.
exactly. So yeah, man, I think that's a unique thing about Europe is the fact that you can gain so many different cultural experiences within such a short space. And you don't have to really travel an extensive, you know, amount of way to actually see something or learn something different. So I
Yeah.
would definitely encourage any guy that's trying to come overseas and play or coach for that matter to really relish the opportunity, man, if it presents itself.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So, um, you signed with the Modeling Rangers for 2018. You were with Graz last year. What are your plans for the off season? Like, what have you been up to going from season to season? I know you're back in the States now. So, what's the plan?
Yeah, I'm back in the States now, man. I'm actually coaching. I'm the secondary coach at St. Andrews University, which is an NAIA program up in North Carolina. So since I've came back to the States, I think late July, early August, that's what I've been doing. So I just went through like a fall of working with the team. In the past week and a half, I've been out on the road just recruiting, trying to help the program get some good football players. So that's kind of what I've been up to in the off season. My plan is to take the next few weeks off to prepare my body physically for the upcoming season. Just kind of shift my focus a little bit and start getting engaged and kind of putting away my coaching hat and getting ready to put on the cleats and get back on the green, man.
What have you done like physically? What type of things have you been doing to kind of stay in shape but not overdo it?
um,
Obviously, because you're coaching.
right, right. The cool thing is, man, is the fact that I'm actually in a football environment, so I have a lot of facilities to my disposal. So I go in the gym at least 4 times a week before I go into work every day. I hit the weights. Um, and man, I'm a different guy when it comes on to the gym. I don't go in the gym with like a set plan in mind, like today's leg day or today's upper body day. I
Just
just
go in there.
yeah, I work out, man. I have fun with it. I work out like an athlete, so that's kind of how I get after it. And then usually, in the evenings, I'll go for a run, just to kind of keep my cardio up. I do some footwork stuff. I get on the ladder. I do some plyometrics and stuff. just to kind of keep my speed and agility up to par.
Okay. Let me ask you this. I mean, you're a younger guy, so you're one of those young coaches. So when those players out there doing some things, you ever just kind of have that switch just hit next thing you know, instead of showing somebody how to jam, you jamming somebody up out there? Something like that ever happen?
Yeah, you know how it goes, man. You know, when you're young, and I feel like a lot of coaches, we coach just to stay involved with the game. So, when you're not out there physically playing, I think you play through your players. So
Yeah.
whatever they do, you feel like you're the one out there doing it. So if they make a great play, you feel like that's you out there making a great play. Conversely, if they mess up, you feel like, oh man, that's me making a crucial mistake. So yeah, I get on those guys a lot, man, and from time to time I do demonstrate. But what I've learned is like, um, if there's a drill that I'm trying to get across to the guys, in opposed to me going out there and doing it, I'll find a guy in the group that can do it, because I think that resonates within the group a little bit more if their pair can do it, in opposed to me. At times I do demonstrate, but usually I find a guy within the group to demonstrate.
That makes sense, Coach. Now you see, look, the way you're talking got me calling you coach now. I forgot you're also a player. That's got to be an awesome experience to be able to develop the young players in the States, yet still play at a high level out here in Europe.
Yeah,
So hats off to you for that, man.
yeah, it's definitely a great experience.
So let's talk about what's really going to be going on next year. You're going to be playing for the Mödling Rangers. You guys have there's been a couple of signings. So what's the plan? What's the expectation? Are you guys trying to go for it all, or you just trying to see the world, like you said earlier?
Nah, man, I always look at going to Europe as a business trip. I think traveling is just a part of the experience, but I'm going there to work. Like, I'm going there to play professional ball, man, and that's kind of my first responsibility. To be honest with you, I want to get on the plane if I don't think we're going to make a run, man. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
know, I, I'm a part of a winning culture, and everything I'm is about winning. So I know we signed Dylan Potts, who's a quarterback and a wide receiver that played there last year, also got retained. So I think if we have a good camp, all the pieces come together, kind of buy into what the coaches are asking us to do. I think we'll have a successful season. I think I played against the Rangers in 2016, and it was a very competitive game. And I've always felt like that's kind of one of those middle tier teams in the AFL that maybe is a player or two away from actually competing with the bigger guns in the AFL, like the Giants, the Rangers. I mean the Raiders, and the Vikings. Maybe if they get a guy here or there, I think they can really.
Maybe if they get an O'Neal Blake, then they'll be right there. That's what it is. You're the missing piece.
Man,
You're the missing piece.
I just feel like they have potential. So it's getting those guys to buy in, make sure those guys are showing up to practice on a consistent basis. Make sure those guys are doing whatever the coaching staff asks those guys to do. I think is going to be the key. But yeah, I'm excited, man. New environment, new players, new coaches. Feel like a new man,
Yeah, well, I mean, O'Neal Blake said it here, guys. Mödling Rangers, they're going for it, 2018.
Yeah. Look out, man. I'm excited.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit more personal / business, I guess is what we want to talk about now.
Okay.
You started your own company.
Yeah, man. Starting a clothing line. Been on the market for about going on 3 months now, and just happy, just really excited about the growth and the potential for the brand, man. To be honest with you, I think we've generated great response from the market so far. So we just got to continue to grow and expand.
Tell the people a little bit about the backstory of how you started the company and what it means with the name of the brand and just the whole mission goal. I love it. That's why me and you've connected before already. I love it. Just tell everybody about it, man.
Yeah, man. You're a guy that can definitely relate to the concept behind the brand because of your travels, being overseas and going to different places. But BridgeMQ, when I spent time in Europe, man, I kind of went on some travels across Europe, And the thing that kind of resonated with me from all my travels was the fact that I felt like most major European cities had a bridge at the center of the city. And I thought that was kind of cool. Not only do they have a bridge at the center of the city, but this bridge oftentimes will bring a lot of people together. You like if you go to a city, you see people standing on the bridge, just kind of absorbing the view of the city. It's kind of taking pictures, just checking out the city and seeing what the city has to offer. So I felt like it was really neat. So I just started doing research, and I was like, what's the theme behind all these bridges at the center of these European cities? And I just found out that the city was these bridges were some of the first monuments in these cities, and these bridges were built to connect one side of the city to the other side of the city. So when people wanted to do trade, someone wanted to go to the hospital that was on the other side of the city, go to school, do anything business related, they had to utilize this bridge. So that's why when all the urban elements came to a city, like the skyscrapers, the corporate offices and stuff, they all revolved around the bridge. The bridge stayed at the center because the bridge was one of the first structures in that city. So I was like, wow, that's kind of neat.
Yeah, so, that is awesome.
I was like, oh, wow, bridges are cool. I feel like bridges, they connect cities, they connect people, they connect time. And I just looked at it also from a metaphorical perspective. Like, I feel like in life where you're trying to get to, you always got to cross a bridge. Whether that bridge is relationships, finance, addiction in a lot of cases, growth. You have to cross that bridge in order for you to get from point A to point B. And I just thought that everyone could relate to that concept. We've all crossed bridges. We've all had to make a tough decision. We've all had to put something away in the past to kind of move onwards. So I just thought the concept from that perspective was neat. MQ, I was born in Jamaica, actually, and Middle Quarters is the name of the town I was born in. And MQ is the initials of Middle Quarters. I thought BridgeMQ had a nice ring to it. And bridges, as we're talking about connecting people, and I felt like tying bridge to MQ, which is kind of my roots and my background, I thought it had a pretty neat concept behind it. So that's kind of the story behind BridgeMQ. We're just trying to create clothing to kind of give people that like to travel, that like to tour the world, just a sentiment like, hey, I'm wearing a BridgeMQ apparel. Like, the guy that created this liked traveling. He felt like bridges were neat. He felt like bridges connected people. Felt like everyone can relate to the concept of bridge. So that's why I wanted to create a clothing line just to kind of give people that likes to get up and go just a special feeling about wearing the brand.
Well, that's awesome, O'Neal Blake. We appreciate you talking today. And, I still love the brand idea. And after this, obviously, I'm talking to you about some other things me and you got going with that.
Yeah.
But
wear some BridgeMQ apparel today, man, just to kind of endorse the brand and let people see a few apparel. But I'm on the road, man. And I have to take care of a few things today. So, yeah, but I'm pretty sure we'll get a chance to showcase to the people what BridgeMQ looks like, man.
It's a man. He's a man that's doing a lot, guys. He's doing a lot. He's playing professionally in Europe. He's coaching. He's on the road recruiting right now, and he's running a clothing apparel. He is the American dream. He's out here getting it. And that's why he's on the podium live, because that's the type of guys we're talking to.
Man. Hey, you are that dude, man. I've been keeping up with you, man. You are endorsed in the sport, man. So I'm gonna take the time out to give credit to you, man. You're doing a good job. Endorsing, you're welcome, man. Endorsing American football abroad and just kind of bringing light to the game and just kind of sharing your stories, man. That's cool. I think we need more people like yourself. How did you get connected with the Podyum? Because I think Will Powell is the guy that.
Will Powell is the CEO of the Podyum. I'm actually a business development associate for the Podyum right now. I'm helping out in the best way I can. And, this media, this is my thing. So this is what I'm doing. I'm trying to help the sport, guys. Like, this is what we're trying to be. We're trying to make the world understand that American football is something that everyone can be involved with. We're connecting bridges. We're the Podyum.
man.
We're people from here to there. We're putting people out here on this platform. So, the internet is a huge thing now. So now we're on the internet. You're here forever. We're trying to make sure that you guys know that you can network with other people who are involved with American football, and it can lead to great things. Like you, O'Neal, you played football that got you to Austria, and now you're starting a clothing brand. And you're still involved with football, still helping youngsters by coaching in college in the States. Like, you're doing the most, and these are the type of guys that you meet when you're involved with this system, when you're part of this network. This is why I'm going to throw in this plug as well, because this is what the Podyum does. You go to recruit.thepodium.com, you make a profile. We talk to each other on the Podyum. We network with each other. You give us a shout out, we give you a shout out, and this sport, it just expands. That's what we're doing. We're trying to expand this sport, man.
Yeah, I love it, man. Keep up the good work, man. Continue to grow. Continue to do what you guys are doing, man. You guys are doing a good job.
Well, we appreciate you being on today. Hey, guys, we'll be back next Tuesday. Got more players, more coaches. We're going to keep this up. Until next time, see you guys later.
All right, man. See you guys.